State University in the Department of Marketing, and she is also a major partner in putting this SAPO conference together. So without further ado, please, Leah.
Thank you, and that means that real time I'm going to cut to the chase so you'll have plenty of time for questions. I teach marketing and selling at Kennesaw. Nadir Muntaka is one of my doctoral students at Penn State. He is collecting data from hundreds of universities in the United States. We're making comparisons in business curriculum. Dr. Guijin Zhang here at Kennesaw State Professor of Education works with me, and Dr. Johnston, who is also the editor of the Journal of Business and Industrial Marketing, which some of these academic papers will be in a special issue. It'll probably take us maybe 2 years to get that out. So this is some of the research that we're doing. As you've heard, not only do businesses have a lot to think about, but we in academia have a lot of rethinking that we have to do as well. In 1996, a book came out named Co-opetition, and it was by Adam Brandenberry, who was at Harvard, and Barry Nelba, who was at Yale. I don't know whether any of you have read the book or not, but the premise of the book was that businesses need to cooperate with each other in order to be more competitive. We in academia need to do the same thing. Thus, a symposium of this nature where we can synthesize the different brains from the government and the businesses and political views as well. Dr. Harmon this morning mentioned that we need to continuously internationalize and globalize and engage. So that's what we're in the business of doing. There's a book that came out this year, Global Tilt, Leading Your Business Through the Great Economic Power Shift by Ram Charan. And what this book describes, and I'll move through a few slides in a moment, is how at the 31st parallel of latitude, the nations above that are the northern nations, such as the United States and Japan and some of the Western European nations, how the world is tilting such that the southern nations below that parallel line are becoming more powerful economically, and the money markets are going there, such as the Brazils and the Indias and the Chinas, the Vietnams, etc. So that is another good book for you to look at. Ram Charan in that book talked about some of the factors that are reshaping these global markets, and one of them especially, the global financial system of the world acts instantaneously like that. We have to be so in tune with each other regardless of which nation, because when one nation fails, all of us around the world could fail. So that's what's keeping the churn going. And all the new varieties of capitalism that we have used to be, for someone to be wealthy or rich, it had to be old money, generation after generation. But you could go out and buy lottery tickets right here in this state and become instantaneously wealthy, depending upon how much you spend. So we've got so many things that are changing us so fast, not to mention these and some of the brothers and sisters of these. One of the other areas that I wanted to mention that we have to rethink in academia, how far do we want to globalize or internationalize? There are varying gradations, and every time we make committed decisions within academia, we decide, do we just want to infuse some global cultures into our courses? Do we want our students to be more aware of various practices in the other nations? Or do we really want them to understand such that there won't be as difficult a time when they go to work in a firm, as you've heard some of these instances, they can have that understanding? Or do you want the next level, our students, to graduate and be globally competent? So we as faculty have to make these conscious decisions, and we have some assistance such as AACSB, accrediting boards like that to tell us some things that we have to do, okay? So let me just skip over for a moment. I should have taken all of this out because this is going to take a little time, but mentioning some of those nations, this challenges us. We're so used to being a certain way in the United States, we've got to lean and in some instances flip our thinking like houses are being flipped. It used to be the 4 P's of marketing: place, product, promotion, and price. These have changed so dramatically. Place is no longer we having to walk into a store and make a purchase. We can do it here and in other areas. Promotion, at one point we had to look at advertisements on the television or listen to them on the radio. Here are the ads now, okay? Advertising itself used to be considered as non-personal because it would be pulsed to millions. But when something comes in on my telephone, I consider it very personal. So we've got to flip our thinking as well. And let's see. The global financial system. You mentioned Vietnam. It used to be BRICS, the bottom bullet. Now, see, that's easily. Okay, remember that global tilt, the 31st Carolina? The South, we don't mean Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Texas. We're talking about these southern nations where the power is flowing. And there are lots of reasons. There's also government protectionism that we haven't quite had that amount in the United States. Let's see, over here. This, in essence, is a summit, so to speak. Instantaneously, I don't know how many are tweeting right now. They know over in Indonesia right now what we're doing, and we know just as well the other things that are going on around the world. Game theory, if you're familiar with it, it's the science of strategic thinking when it boils down. So we have to go beyond some of the old traditional ways that we've been thinking. Middle class. When you used to think about middle class consumers, those used to be 50, 60, 70-year-olds. Now they're the 20s and 30s, and in some instances the teens, because they have the money, they have the power, they have lots of power because they can control information. And when one can control information, that is a very powerful thing. I'm going to just flash through these. If you see something that you want to address later, I'm going to give you my email and let you contact me and give some time to our other guests to get some questions and answers in here, okay? All right.